Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Brilliant. Nice to hear. So, first of all, I need to thank the organizing committee to giving me this opportunity to come and speak about my experience about building a SaaS product from scratch and what we have learned during that journey as well. Yeah. Now it is clear, right? Okay, brilliant. So my talk is about mainly sustaining SaaS success. First of all, please raise your hands who have prior experience of building a SaaS product. Please raise your hand. Few are there, brilliant, right? Good. So the topic, the things I'm going to cover today is real world experience that I have gained during my startup right now, which I'm working on. Achieving cost efficiency in SaaS with scalability and resilience. Let's jump in. So, quick intro about myself. As she mentioned, I'm Udara Wijeratna. I have close to 14 years of experience on building software or products for enterprise, working in different domains, right? And when it comes to AWS, I have close to 7+ experience in developing AWS solutions within my work style. Yeah, I really like to travel. That's why I'm here today as well. With the vacation, I'm covering a community day as well. Yeah. So, as I mentioned previously, the examples I'm going to tell you today is all about coming from the real world experience I gained from Velaris. Velaris is a SaaS B2B customer data platform which is built for customer success management. Have you ever heard about customer success management before? Yes? No? Have you worked with any SaaS B2B products before? Please raise your hand. HubSpot? Yeah? Brilliant. Zapier? You are there. Okay, this is going to be really interesting for you all. Might be a new domain because I can see many of you didn't raise your hand. Right? I'll start with the very basic, giving you the foundation concepts. Yeah? Okay. And Velaris is 100% running in AWS. Why? When we started Velaris, I was the architect or the initial member of that team. I had a lot of experience with AWS. Didn't thought about any other cloud providers. Went ahead with AWS. So, but that actually gave us a lot of flexibility and then a lot of, I would say, time, right? Rather than investing on R&D, we were able to develop this product ASAP. So let's jump into the topic. Yeah. As I mentioned, I need to lay the initial foundation because many of you didn't know about SaaS or those concepts. So multi-tenancy is one of the key terms when it comes to SaaS product development. What is multi-tenancy? Multi-tenancy is an architectural pattern in which a single instance of software application serves to multiple customers. Yeah, very clear in the term as well. So each customer, we call it them as a tenant in the SaaS world. So what is multi-tenancy? Single product serving to multiple customers. Right? Each of these customers, we call them as a tenant. Yeah? In 1990s, when I'm actually born and started seeing software, we had CDs, right? We went with the CD and installed in, let's say, on a laptop or a desktop machine, and that is it. One software, one single user using that platform. But right now, with the SaaS and cloud all coming into play, you can have one single software application running in cloud which serves to multiple customers. So Velaris is that. One example, B2B. We have one single platform and we have 40+ customers serving, like using that particular platform. Clear? Tenant versus multi-tenancy? Brilliant. Now, this is another important factor when you are deploying a SaaS product, which is how you can deploy. There are three common different ways you can go towards that. look at the diagrams. These are taken out of AWS itself, right? Because these are the recommendations AWS providing in the well architecture SaaS product, right? So the left-hand side, the silo model. With the word itself, silo, you can clearly see a single, let's say, application, infrastructure, all are dedicated to one particular tenant only. It's like the way I told you in the 1990s. Yeah, one product, not product, I would say, single instance of the software serving for each and every tenant of your customer base. Think, if you are building a B2B SaaS product, if you have 100 customers, you need to run 100 instances. Yeah, think about the operational cost. Yeah, headache when you want to deploy it to 100. The change won't, like, we have to push a single change and that should be deployed to 100 instances. That's right. That's actually not, you are getting the real benefit of SaaS. But there are certain instances you have to go for silent approach because customers might ask, I don't want to share my data. I don't want to share anything with other parties. I need a silo. Okay, we'll do that. Then there's a cost associated with that. Clear? Then the total opposite side of it, which is the pool model. Yeah? You are sharing everything. One of my favorites. Right? Infrastructure, database, right? Everything is shared. But you have to be very careful. You are not dealing with data compliance issues, right? You need to identify each and every tenant's data very clearly, but everything is shared. Okay? So that's totally opposite of silo. But look at the middle one. There's always a middle path, right? Which is the bridge. Or I would say, I'm driving a hybrid car, right? So the hybrid way of doing it, which is a combination of silo and pool. Yeah? How we are going to do it? Based on the use case. Sometimes, let's say in Belarus, we have microservices-based architecture, right? Some of the services we might think, okay, we'll deploy it as a silo. We will be giving, let's say, invoicing microservice for each and every customer as a siloed microservice. But there are some common ones which we can decide based on the use case. That will go as a pool one. So it's a combination of pool and silo. So you can go ahead with the bridge approach. Clear on that as well? Yeah? Very clear? Super. So Belarus is actually in the middle path, bridge. Because we have compliance compliance requirements from our customers where they require, okay, certain things you have to isolate from different tenants, right? So please make sure you have that isolation ready. So because of that, we are using the bridge. Clear? Right. Okay. That is the main foundation I wanted to lay before jumping to the topics: cost efficiency, scalability, and resilience. Hope you all are clear. Okay. Well. So, startup story. As I mentioned, Belarus started around 2020, right? With a small idea came from Europe, co-founders from Europe. And I was the one who was doing the engineering, head of the engineering at that time, doing R&D and all, started the startup. Now 100% engineering is happening in Sri Lanka. We have close to 60 plus engineers. So, at the very beginning, look at this graph, the 3 lines, right? This is practical example at Belarus, okay? Which is, I have the lines, cost, growth, and the resilience. This might be different for some other startups if you are working on, but for us, this is what actually happened. Yeah? At the very beginning, we don't have customers, correct? For any startup, you don't have customers. Very lucky to get customers at the very beginning itself. No, 0 customers. We had an idea, we started it. And as I mentioned, from the very beginning, we were thinking, okay, we are going to deploy this in AWS. So the cost was mainly for deployment or running the infrastructure. Simple as that. So you can see at the very beginning, cost is high, right? Cost is growing. Growth is basically bringing in more customers in. Growth is very less. You don't have customers. Yeah. But after a certain period of time, you got the investors coming in, you are ready with the MVP, some of the customers are in, right? Then you can see growth is going pretty much well above the cost, right? Which means you are profiting, right? But cost is going on a very parallel scale, right? Why? You are tearing up your resources, right? Your infrastructure and all, you are not going for a siloed approach, no. You are going for the hybrid. Most of the services are pooled approach. So you are gaining something out of your product. Clear? So that's the real important factor. And look at this stage. Actually, that is the stage where we are right now. Growth is going up, cost is going down. Best case scenario for a startup. Right? You are bringing in more tenants in to your product, but you are not spending on AWS so much. Yeah? So I'll tell you what we have done to achieve those during the talk, right? And the last piece is the resilience line. So you can't have up and downs or let's say deviation on the resilience at all when you are developing a SaaS product. Why? You need to ensure your product is up and running throughout because it's a SaaS product, right? It's applicable for others as well, but when it comes to SaaS, one single product serving multiple customers. If your product goes down, all the customers will shout at you and pretty much your business will be move away. Clear? So that's why that resilience line is always going to scale up. Clear? Those are the three information I need to tell you all at the very beginning. Okay, let's go to the next one. Business growth, the growth line, right? Once the business is actually starting to grow, right, you have to think about, you are bringing in new customers, you are getting more and more requests to your platform. How you can manage the scalability aspect? Thinking about that costs part as well, right? I showed you in the diagram. Growth is happening pretty well, going up top, cost is going down. How we are going to do that? How we are actually doing it right now? Number one, the infrastructure scalability. Right? I know this is something might be new to you all, but most probably if you are using AWS, these terms might be very common for you all. Right? ECS. Have you worked with ECS before? Please raise your hand. ECS? Okay, few. EKS? Few. Okay, interesting. Lambda, Fargate. Okay, serverless gurus are here. Nice. So, what we have done is, we are not sticking into one particular, let's say, we are only deploying everything in ECS. We don't have that. Right? It's a mixed bag. Based on the use case, we are not selecting actually ECS versus EKS. Containerization happens in ECS, right? But let's say you need small functions to run, we go with Lambda, right? Fargate, for long running jobs, we are using Fargate, yeah? And step functions. Have you worked with Airflow before? Airflow? Okay. Which is, if you don't know, Airflow is mainly about data, right? Workflows. We are not using Airflow. We are using step functions, which is very, very cheap compared to Airflow. And that actually does our job. So that's the use case here, right? Based on your use case and thinking about the cost associated with that service, choose wisely about the service you are going to use. That is scalability for you, right? Thinking about the cost aspect. And finally, special thing we actually did was the scaling policies. 1 year ago, we didn't have actually proper scaling policies. Do you know what you mean by scaling policies in AWS? Let's say you have ECS, right? ECS, containerized task. 5 tasks is running, right? 5 containers are running for a X microservice. Yeah. You are continuously running that 5 tasks throughout the day, right? Throughout the year. But you are having peak traffic, only at a certain stage of the day. right? Then you need to focus on having that 5 tasks running on that particular time slot only. From scaling policies, you can say, okay, schedule this. I just need 5 tasks running on this time. Then afterwards, reduce it to 1. How much of cost you will be saving? That is why growth is going up, cost is going down. Clear? Okay. Really important. If you are not using scaling policies, please remember to use in your product, and you can showcase you are gaining a lot from the tune-ups you are doing. Then the next piece. We always talk about these infrastructure level stuff, like scaling and scalability. When it comes to a startup, it's really important to know about the operational scalability as well. This is a real world, as I mentioned, a story I have to share with you all. So, we are a SaaS B2B product. We are onboarding tenants, right? Let's say our marketing team is very active and they are bringing in more customers to Velas. Yeah. Suddenly they brought up a customer and we need to onboard that customer, right? For any platform, you need to onboard a customer, right? Initially, it took 4 days us to onboard a new tenant to LRS. 4 days. Multiple teams working together, creating databases, creating different access points and all. It took 4 days, which is pretty high, right? To onboard a customer, if you are taking 4 days. So we thought, okay, this is something really we need to work on if you think about business growth. Right? Let's say our marketing team brings four customers in the same day. It's going to be a mess, right? It will take a lot of time to onboard everyone. So what we did was, last year, we actually automated this onboarding process, which is a really important factor in a SaaS world. Any guesses? 4 days of work, 2.5 days to 4 days of work with automation in place, thanks to our DevOps engineer and the architecture we brought in as a team. Now, how much of time are we spending to onboard a new tenant? Any guesses? 1 hour. Okay.
5 minutes.
4 hours. Okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah, matter.
Okay, brilliant. Actually, it's a single command, right? In Slack, I think you all have used Slack. Okay, please onboard X tenant. Enter it. It will run. To all the process to run in the background, no human interaction at all. Only takes 15 to 30 minutes. Yeah. So that's one of the key experiences I gained, right, during the SaaS journey, where you need to automate the things and think not only about the infrastructure level scalability, also think about the operation aspect as well. Clear? That's another one. Last piece is the microservices versus asynchronous processing. Have you ever heard about asynchronous processing before? Please raise your hand. Okay, brilliant. So in your products, so all probably you are using asynchronous processing. In our context, in Velaris, it's a customer facing platform. We have selected certain services. Okay, we can definitely go for asynchronous processing. Yeah, because of that, the real value we got is basically we were able to ensure product is, the scalability aspect is going totally fine without any issues, right? So that's another very important factor. Choose it wisely when the proper service is coming out. Choose the microservices or the services or the use cases. Go towards the asynchronous processing when it's applicable. Last piece is actually about the resilience. As I mentioned, it's really important to have your product 100% available throughout. This is one of the new things we have introduced during the last few months, which is detecting things before things go wrong. I know many of you have configured alarms and all in your product, but we introduced the service availability dashboards. Have you ever worked with the CloudWatch dashboards before? Yeah, brilliant. And availability dashboards? Yeah, brilliant. These are very, very good thing to have. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. right? Please make sure to research on it. AWS providing all the steps to do it. Have these dashboards ready in your platform. This will give a very clear understanding where your product or the services are in the health wise. So if it is going down, the alarms and everything will be triggered. Clear? I'm going pretty fast now because I have very less time. Okay, sorry about that. So for the resilience, probably if you are using AWS heavily, these are common things. Alarms, yes. You must have alarms, CloudWatch alarms to trigger when it requires. Multi-AC deployments, definitely yes, right? Don't focus on single AC deployments. If you can go for multi-regional, if you are rich, go for multi-regional as well, right? For us, still we are in the single region. And the asynchronous processing and the API throttling is also really important for a SaaS product. Why? Let's say you have a noisy neighbor, the concept of noisy neighbor comes into play where, let's say, a tenant is putting a lot of traffic to your platform rather than other tenants. Yeah. So you need to ensure all other tenants have the same experience about your platform. You have to say, okay, you can only request 100 requests per second. You are throttling the request coming in. Why? We are having a SaaS product. You need to ensure, and it's a cool one, you need to ensure everyone is getting the proper, let's say, the balance, infrastructure with the resources throughout. Clear? Okay. Then the last piece I want to talk about is the cost aspect. I'm not going to talk about the cost explorer or anything. I'm going to tell you one single step we did very recently, which helped us a lot when it comes to costing, right? Which is capturing the usage of the tenant, right? How the tenants are using your platform. We, as I mentioned, it's a SaaS product. It's a hosted in AWS, and we have the BFF layer, right? All the requests coming in from the static website goes to the BFF layer, and from the BFF layer, we are logging all the information related to the request coming in. With not every detail, very high level detail where we can capture, this is the tenant, this is the request coming in, let's say for microservice X and Y, right? And what are the information we need to capture, right? That was very helpful to capture, right? Capture who are the tenants who are basically using our platform a lot, yeah? And how this was useful for us is mainly we were able to identify X customer is using our platform a lot and Y customer is not using our platform not like heavily, right? So how the costing or the economies of scale came into the picture here, when the contract is coming up, the renewal contract is coming up next year, let's say coming up next month for an X customer, we will say, hey, you are using our platform a lot. And you are not giving us much money out of the contract, last year contract. So we are going to renew it with the X or $1,000 up. You have the data to prove that as well, right? Since the customer is using your platform heavily, they will also allow us to do. And the last piece is mainly, now let's say a customer is now planning to move out from your product. Now you don't want to customers to be churned in SaaS. Churn in the sense like they are moving out, right? With this data, we are saying, oh, seems like you are not using the project management service so much. You have the data, right? We are going to disable that feature for you. And we are going to give you a discount. Let's say we charge $10,000 per year. Now we are charging only $6,000 because of those elements we have brought in. Clear? So understanding the customer engagement is really important. Do that at the very top layer itself. Start with that, then go for the bottom. So I talked about these things, tenant tiering or the feature flags which I mentioned previously, and tuning up the infrastructure previously as well, and capturing the usage data. So with the time I have all, these are the key items I wanted to cover with you all related to costing as well. So 3 takeaways from this session is basically when you are planning to develop a multi-tenant application or a SaaS product, you need to think on the new dimensions about scaling and resilience. And also scalability, resilience, and cost efficiency works together, right? You can't have it single-handed, all work together. And always think on scaling. Our scale is a mix of business and technical goals, right? It's a combination of all. So thank you very much. Before I wrap up, so I always think on this particular statement, which is architecturing a perfect solution is very hard, right? Always think on improving your current architecture, then you will be learning a lot and you will be improving on all the aspects of your product. Yeah. Thank you very much for the time. Feel free to scan the LinkedIn QR code, connect with me at any given time. If you have any questions after this session, feel free to ask. I'll be staying around. Thank you very much.